Hi everyone, Liane here. I hope you're doing well. This video is dedicated to the BTS Army, and in particular, my dear friends and family that are deep into BTS. So that would be Raylan, Debbie, Una, Vera, and I cannot forget my mother-in-law who's been to concerts in Chicago and Los Angeles. After organizing my inks by color, I realized I had a lot of purples in this color range, and talking to some of my friends, they said that it reminded them of BTS purple. I looked it up, found all the images that I could find, and I'll pop them up on screen here, but it's a whole range of colors. It's lilacs, pinky purples, blue purples, and it was really all inspired by this first ink. And this is Robert Oster Cosmic Swirl, and I first got a sample of it when I was at the Vancouver pen shop. I picked up one of their mystery bags of fountain pen inks, and this was one of them, and I loved it so much that I bought a bottle of it. It is this vibrant, beautiful, medium purple, and it feels like it leans really just right down the middle of purple. It's not too warm, it's not too blue or cool, and I think its vibrancy makes it a perfect ink for the spring and summer months. This next ink is Diamine Industries Manchurian Violet, and the ink sample that you see here is one that I got from Ian Domingo when we did an ink swap earlier last year. It is a beautiful pale lilac purple. Compared to Cosmic Swirl, it definitely leans a little bit cooler. It's more blue, like a periwinkle lavender pastel. Coincidentally, I also got a full bottle of it from Diamine Industry when I had reached out to them, and they had sent along a few bottles, and it is just a beautiful ink that I love to swatch. I think it's a little light for my taste when it comes to using it in a pen. So for those of you who do like this color, I do recommend that you ink it up in a wetter nib, more like a medium or a broad nib. Or you can even use it with a dip pen, because I think the color looks beautiful as I use it with my Kakimori brass nib pen. Troublemaker Inks Foxglove is this beautiful multi-shading chroma shading ink that shows off some pinks, some purples, some blues a little bit in the more pooled areas of the ink swatch here. And in this ink collection today, this is probably the second lightest ink next to Manchurian Violet. I believe Manchurian Violet is probably the lightest ink out of the bunch today. But what makes this color really stand out is just the fact that it's a multi-shading ink. And as you can tell, as the ink is drying, you start to notice the pink begin to pop from the circular swatch. I think that's what Troublemaker inks are really known for. They've really come out with some beautiful lines of multi-shading inks that really make those who love this hobby enjoy playing with things even more. Now turn up the volume, because here's a little ASMR. Doesn't that sound beautiful? It's the metal caps of the Monteverde inks as it unscrews from the glass jars. I personally think that part of the allure of the fountain pen hobby is the fact that you can slow down and really enjoy the writing process, and that includes filling your pens with ink and also the beautiful sounds that are made, particularly as I think about the sounds that Monteverde ink bottles and Pilot Iroshizuku bottles make. Going back to Monteverde Purple Mist, this is a beautiful medium lilac purple that seems to sit right between Troublemaker Foxglove, which leans a little bit more pink, and Diamine Industries Manchurian Violet that leans a little bit more blue. I bought both this ink and Monteverde's Purple Rain. Hold on a second. I hope you enjoy the sound as much as I do. This ink is really beautiful. I bought this at the same time as Purple Mist because I wanted to compare the two inks. And as you'll see, Purple Rain really comes out more like a fuchsia purple, whereas Purple Mist is definitely cooler in tone. And this is a beautiful medium saturated ink. Well, I would even say it's more saturated than Purple Mist. And if you're on the fence deciding between these two colors, I would say if you want something a little bit more muted and a little bit more on the blue side, then pick Purple Mist. But if you want something more saturated, more vibrant, and a little bit more on the warmer side, definitely go for a Purple Rain. Now we're migrating to the left side of the page, and Sailor Shikiori Hara really surprised me. I had anticipated it to look a little bit more similar to the inks on the right, but as I lift the cup, as you'll see shortly, it leans more dusky. It's dark. It's more like a smoky mauve purple, almost like an eggplant purple. This ink is part of the Sound of Rain series that Sailor created back in 2021, and Hara is supposed to signify the sort of sound that the falling rain makes in the autumn season. In my swatch here, you'll see that the ink comes out really dark. It almost looks like a purple black, but I want to let you know that in my experience in the fountain pens that I've had it inked in, it does come out a lot lighter than what is on screen today. Now we have Pilot Iroshizuku Murasaki Shikibu. I invested in this full bottle of ink. Not only is it just aesthetically beautiful in its form, but they're also known to be very reliable workhorse types of inks. In my opinion, this ink is the most saturated ink out of the bunch. It's a deep and bright purple that I think is perfect for the spring and summer months ahead. Looking at this spread, it looks most like Robert Oster's Cosmic Swirl, just a deeper, more saturated version of Cosmic Swirl. And what I love about this ink is just that it has a beautiful slight sheen to it. You see it in the swatch, but you also see it in the writing sample as well. So we went from the darkest ink now to a more muted, and this is Diamine Handel. I got this ink because it is more muted and it shades really beautifully. It's not going to look like your true purples. It looks more like your eggplant. It's like a pinky browny purple. And I would say on this page, it looks very similar to Sailor Shikiori Hara, though they are different in that I would consider Hara to be a little bit more dusky, a little bit more of a serious color, whereas Diamine Handel feels a little bit brighter in comparison. Now this is one of my first inks that I got early on in my fountain pen journey, and it's J. Herbin's Poussière de Lune, which in English is moon dust. It's a beautiful dark eggplant purple that I think is very work appropriate. It's almost like a purple black, especially on this spread. It's an ink that surprised me. I didn't expect to like it so much, but whenever I had it inked in a pen, it became one of the pens that I gravitated towards every month. I mean, if you compare this ink with the others on this page, it's dark. It's almost like an off black, purple black ink. The more quote-unquote exciting colors to me just on this page would be Robert Oster's Cosmic Swirl or Troublemaker Foxglove or even Murasaki Shikibu. They're bright and they're vibrant. And so I'm just surprised that for an ink that is so understated, it became one of my favorite inks to write with. This last ink is Colorverse Tang-Pyeong, and it's a beautiful medium violet that I was actually quite surprised that when I lift the cup from the page, it leaned more blue than I had anticipated. It's a beautiful muted color that really doesn't have any sort of sheening or shimmer properties. In fact, none of these inks have any shimmer in them. But this ink, out of all the others, did not have any sheen, not even in the more pooled areas of the circular swatch. I'm noticing that as the ink swatch dries, it starts to take on some understated qualities, very similar to Sailor Shikiori Hara. It's got like an ethereal, dusky vibe to me. I've given the swatches some time to dry, and as I do a close-up, you could really see some of the circular swatches that have the sheen. You could see the beautiful shading properties and the multi-shading property of Troublemaker Foxglove. I think this spread looks absolutely beautiful together, and I'm curious to know what your favorites are. Leave them in the comments below. I think for me it would have to be Cosmic Swirl, Monteverde Purple Rain, and Murasaki Shikibu. And for those of you that are part of the BTS Army, I'm curious to know which of these inks look and remind you most of BTS. Please let me know. I'm very curious. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.